Folks, after 3 long weeks, the mega powers of podcasting are back in the epicenter of Nostalgia Mania. We are here in the On the Money Sports Lounge, coming to you live for another edition of On the Money podcast. As always, my name is Irrational, and alongside me, none other than Oscar O'Money.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, but it's for a week because there will be no podcast next Wednesday because next Wednesday's Christmas. That's when Santa Claus comes down the chimney, throws all them presents underneath the tree, says Merry Christmas, eats the milk and cookies. After he eats the milk and cookies, he goes back up the chimney, hops on the sleigh. Rudolph takes him to the next crib and the next crib. Keep the magic alive.
It's going to be a busy night. Clean your chimneys. Don't make it harder for him. He has a lot to do.
Yeah.
He's got no time for BS, and neither do we as we come to you live in between the aftermath of Week 15, right up against the front door of Week 16. 3 weeks left of the regular season of the NFL. We're in the semifinals round 2 of the Fantasy Football League playoffs. We'll go over some of the matchups that we're walking into for Week 16, some of the showdowns going down in leagues. And we also want to know what's going on in your leagues. How many leagues have you survived to this point? How many matchups, how many more lineups do you get to set for another week of NFL fantasy football? A week chock full of some ugly matchups. So it's just going to be very hard to navigate this week after a plethora of fantasy points that we saw last week from a number of guys who took our teams and carried us into the threshold.
Thanks,
over
Matt
into
Stafford.
The promised land.
Thanks, Jalen Waddle.
And then there's the people that we thought were going to carry us over the threshold.
Thanks, Jaden Reed.
Week 15.
Thank you, Naj, even though I love you, brother, but thank you.
I left it. You started Najee Harris?
Only other running back was that or Zamir White.
I was so happy to leave his ass on the bench for his 3 points. I saw that, and I just was like, whew. But there were some other risky starts, like the Sam Darnolds of the world, who only gave me 12, 13 points. Luckily, I survived, but it's just one of those things where you see it happen in your fantasy lineup, and now heading into Week 16, you ask yourself, who do I trust? One of the big questions that you're asking yourself right now with the lineup, the deeper we get into the playoffs, you can't help but to tend to overthink some of the lineups that you're putting together now, especially after what we saw last week, the matchups that you were told were going to be good, the matchups that actually turned out to be good. And then you've got the guys like, this is not me being sarcastic, but, Josh Allen, I love you, buddy. Thank you. Mike Evans, you're another one. Absolute gold from you guys this past week. You saved my ass, and I absolutely love you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do in plus matchups this week as the Bills take on the Patriots. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sunday Night Football, taking on those Dallas Cowboys, who aren't that bad either.
If the Cowboys had just not touched that punt, they would have gotten the ball back. They could have drained the clock down, and we all know Aubrey would have definitely banged that field goal to win. The Dallas Cowboys could be 7-7 right now, just the game out of the wild card.
But they beat the Panthers, and they're not completely dead yet.
It's crazy that they were the underdogs in that game. I thought that was insane.
They're not totally dead yet. Like, they have a pulse.
They have a pulse because
when you look at what's going on in the
if they were
NFC,
to win out, which they're not, but if they were to win out, they play Philly and they play Philly. Washington.
Pull up the playoff picture as you speak.
Who else?
There's
There's only 3 games left. What am I talking about, right? 1, 2, yeah. They play the Bucks, Washington, and Philly. I don't know what I think.
Philly next, because the Eagles play the Giants.
Last game of the year.
So
they play Washington the last game of the year.
All right. So
that's why it sucks for them that they lost that game against the Bengals.
It does. That was a big game on Monday night. And now they have a Sunday nighter, a big game for Tampa Bay, who
and there's
has
no
taken the South.
guarantee for them to win, guys, because Tampa gets hot and then Tampa gets cold. Like, I'm starting Baker Mayfield this weekend, but the chances of him putting up the points he put up this past weekend might not happen.
So, in Noli's league, East Coast champs, the league that I
survived?
I spent the entire year fighting for my life in this league to get to 7-7, to get into the playoffs, and I benched Baker Mayfield this past week. 2 QB league, I started Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray, and I benched Baker. Baker was on the bench with 41 points. Netta beat me by like 12 points. So had I started Baker Mayfield, I would have advanced
going to the next round.
Into the next round. Noli, the number 1 seed, was also eliminated in this league. Mikey, I think, advanced to the Final Four.
Has he been talking trash, or he went silent?
No, he went radio silent, just like when the Phillies were out of it. He went radio silent on the subject.
I'm starting to notice when he loses, he goes radio silent.
He scored more points than anybody, and Willie eliminated him in the first round. And I got eliminated by Netta. So that Final Four is absolutely
Willie must be rubbing
crazy.
that shit in.
Wait, he was talking shit to Willie all year, so that's kind of what makes it even funnier. But I've also checked out of that group chat because I'm still healing from what happened this past weekend and my poor decision making on the worst possible time.
I mean, at the end of the day, if I didn't sit Rashad Bateman, if I didn't sit Ladd McConkey, and I started Herbert, I probably would have been advanced. The last ride would have continued.
And if you play fantasy football, and if you played fantasy football for years, you know those are the ones that stick with you, is the losses where you leave all those points on your bench. You know that you could have won. You know that if you would have won, there's better matchups the following week, and you could have messed around and got into the title game.
Yep.
I have not been doing my due diligence as far as following the slow decline of the Chargers and their defense, because I didn't expect Tampa Bay to go in there and do what they did to that defense.
40 plus, right?
Yeah, they hung 40 on them, made it look easy. You name it.
It's like the yearly Chargers collapse is about to happen, even with Harbaugh as their coach.
Even with Harbaugh, it's starting to look like it's going to happen.
And that opens the door for teams like Miami, teams for like the Colts, dare I say the Cincinnati Bengals.
Tomorrow night's game affects the Bengals more than anybody else, because when you look at the trajectory of the Broncos and the Chargers, Broncos are going to beat them. Broncos are the better football team. They're the better defense. Their quarterback's playing better. They're the healthier of the two teams. The Chargers beat the Broncos early in the season when J.K. Dobbins was healthy. When J.K. Dobbins got hurt, this Chargers team can't run the ball.
Yeah, not at all. And it's not like Dobbins was going ham like he did the first month of the season. He was just being adequate. But now Gus Edwards can't be adequate. Keamo Vaitai can't be adequate. They desperately need J.K. Dobbins back, and they're not going to get him back for what, another week? 2?
Yeah. And you lose this week, now you go to 8-7. So that door stays ajar for a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who's going into a matchup against Dorian Thompson-Robinson, because they don't want to start Jameis Winston this week for some reason. The Browns screwing everybody over in fantasy football who was looking forward to Jameis Winston's matchup against a plus Bengals defense who you can throw on all day. They said, nope, ain't going to happen. After his horrendous start against the Chiefs, he gets benched. They're starting Dorian Thompson. Weird move by the Cleveland Browns here.
They're ensuring their draft pick.
Yeah.
This is that tank without saying you're tanking.
Savvy. Yeah, it's very, very savvy. 3 different benchings this past week. All 3 different reasons, potentially.
But Kirk Cousins won, man. Wow.
Yeah, like, what do you think about that head coach? Like, do you think this cost him his job, potentially? This decision?
Like, we're still in playoff contention. Mm-hmm. They kind of control their own fate, too. Like, they can still get in.
I forgot to read it off. I went to reshare, but I'll read it off right now. Here's the order of the teams. I'll give you the list of the teams that are on the top right now, and then work my way down. Lions are still number 1. Eagles are number 2. You've got Tampa, 8-6, Rams, 8-6 right now. So those are your division leaders. You've got the 12-2 Vikings sitting in the number 5 seed. You've got the 10-4 Green Bay Packers sitting at the 6th seed. And you've got the 9-5 Washington Commanders in the 7th seed. Behind them is the Seattle Seahawks at 8-6. You've got the Falcons and Cardinals at 7-7, and then the 49ers and Dallas Cowboys at 6-8. So, okay, it's not great. The Cowboys are 12th among these teams. However, in a couple of weeks, this entire picture could look dramatically different. Let's say the Atlanta Falcons want to continue rolling out Penix, in the 9 spot right now. They don't win. They beat the Giants this week, right? Because, it's the Giants. But then moving forward, things get a little tricky for them. They miss out on their spot. There's no for sure guarantees. I think the Cardinals and the Seahawks have a better shot of making the playoffs than the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, as we sit here today, still have a shot of just making the playoffs in general, which is, after the way that they started and what we saw for the first month and a half from this football team, who would have thought? Rico Dowdle finally becoming the running back that a lot of people christened him to be. We questioned why this football team didn't go out and get themselves a running back. And the last couple of weeks, Rico Dowdle, if you had him in fantasy.
I did not.
What? Oscar's over here reading.
I'm reading
messages.
The comments going back and forth with Terrell and Chris and Alexi when Alex said never forget the Giants drafted a running back over this guy. And it's a picture of Josh Allen. And Terrell makes a good point. Like, I know everybody was attacking him, but Terrell makes a good point. He says the Bills were worse off than the Giants. What are we saying? Also, guys forget who Josh was when he got drafted. He wasn't even good. Which is true. That first year was bad. He needed to develop and got developed. Y'all weren't doing that. He would have been another Danny Dimes if y'all managed his career. Real takes, y'all just can't expect the cold hard facts. It's okay. It's that time of the year to be living in La La Land.
It is good points, Joe. It's valid points.
And Terrell, the real question is, why are you guys still blaming 5 years of bad football because you drafted a running back? Bing, 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 bing. Yo, me and Terrell don't agree with a lot of things, but I agree with that. We're 5 years later, we're still blaming the downfall of an organization based off the fact of who they picked 5 years ago.
None of us.
I'm sorry. You know what the downfall of that organization is? The people who are in charge.
None of us agree on everything, but there are certain topics that a lot of us tend to agree on. And a lot of us tend to agree on that one particular topic as far as the New York Football Giants go. I did not see that post. I missed it. Was it Alexi posted it or was it in the forum?
Well, Alexi posted on his regular page, on his regular.
Oh, matter of fact, I did see the post. I just didn't read the comments.
The comments are juicy.
I just didn't read the actual comments.
Listen, Terrell, make some great points.
I knew what the argument was going to lead back to when he posted that picture. I was like, oh, here we go. So I kept scrolling at the time.
If Josh Allen gets picked to the Giants, do they really develop him?
Well, I'm old enough to remember people saying Daniel Jones was going to be better than Josh Allen. Like, I remember people saying Josh Allen was going to be the worst of his draft class.
I was one of them. His college statistics were terrible.
I remember watching him that first year.
He got drafted off potential, and let me say, I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to be good. From the highlights and all that, I saw he was drafted because of his arm, and he needed to be developed. They got the right people around him. They developed him correctly, and he's turned into a superstar who could very well be the 2024 MVP.
He used to do some wild shit. We talked about it on this podcast.
Oh my gosh!
The first 2 years, wild shit, like throwing the ball behind them. Just
the first 2-3 years is crazy. But
Madden
Josh still does have those times, even now, where
he's cleaned it up.
He'll do some shit, and you'll go, "What are you doing, bro?"
He's cleaned it up. Speaking of the Bills, has anybody seen Amari Cooper? Is he a thing anymore, or is he just Has he been relegated to he's just a decoy?
Cardio king.
He's a decoy on this football team, dog. He is a decoy on a team that we said needed a wide receiver this year.
I don't think he cares, though. He's winning.
He is. God bless him. And, he's primed to make some big plays in the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think they lose another game for the rest of the year, the Bills.
Well, they've got the Patriots. They've got the Jets. They've got the Patriots. So,
if the Chiefs miss one game, if the Chiefs slip up and get one game wrong, home field's going to go to Orchard Park.
The Buffalo Bills are always ready to unleash the frustration of the early 2000s on the Patriots every chance they get. Every time they play the Patriots, they try to hang 50 on them. and they're going to try to do that again.
Dude, it's because 20-something years of losing to them.
Yeah, every time they take it out on them. With the Jets, they're going to try to run up the score on them too. The Jets have been playing better football, kind of, or at least you've been getting better production.
Aaron Rodgers is going to, and those receivers are going to do the same thing this weekend?
Against the Rams?
Yeah.
They have to in order to win. Brees Hall didn't practice today again.
Do you think they're capable? You think he's capable of another performance like that back-to-back weeks?
I think he's capable of keeping it competitive with this Rams team, but I think the Rams are going to win this football game. And I think this would have been the week where the production we were expecting from Matt Stafford last week, you might get it this week against the Jets defense that is not what it used to be either. And a Jets team with nothing to play for, and a Rams team with a whole lot to still play for in a very competitive division where they currently are in the 4 seed. They're not even ahead of the Bucs. The Bucs are ahead of them. So, like, the Rams are still playing for something each and every week. My Super Bowl pick on the NFC side, has woken up and are right now in the mix as far as this NFC playoff picture goes. And, I think it could be like 30-17 Rams, 33-20 Rams.
That'd be fantastic.
Jets put a few points up, but
I'm only one playoff matchup, and I don't think I'm starting him this weekend.
You're not starting Matthew Stafford this weekend?
I think I'm starting Tua, and I think I'm starting Baker.
You're not scared to start Tua? There's no fear for Baker. That should have been that's an everybody should make that start. Baker Mayfield in Dallas when Mike Evans is like 200 and something yards from his incentives to get $3 million. Like, Stafford Tua is a good question though.
This game helped him get closer to that 1,000 yards because remember he missed like 4 games.
He's like 281 with a couple games left. Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. I can't wait.
He needs a 100-yard game, another 100-yard game, and an 80-yard game.
Yeah, or just one.
And Mike Evans is capable of putting up 6 catches for 152 yards.
Do a 152-yard game this week. Cut it in half for yourself and make life easy for yourself the next couple of weeks, regardless of, I don't know who the Bucs have on their remaining schedule, but I know for this week against the Dallas Cowboys, this could probably be the nail in the coffin for Dallas, is going up against, again, a team like the Rams, a lot to play for, and in the lead in their division, but they haven't won their division. It can still be lost. Anything can happen.
It's a big matchup for the Rams and the Jets. The Rams win out, they win their division.
Yep. The Seattle's right there, but then
it's the Jets, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. That's how their season ends.
I feel like Seattle's a bit like the Chargers, where it's like
and
that
the last
regression
two,
is starting to happen at
home.
the worst time.
I believe the Rams' last 2 games are at home. That is a team you don't want to go into in the playoffs to face at their house.
And right now, that would be the Vikings, which would be a fun one. It would be 4-seed Rams against the 5-seed Minnesota Vikings, who I feel like a lot of us, even if they had the great year that they had, this Vikings team, the most shocking thing they can do in the first round of the playoffs is just win their playoff game, because then all of a sudden we're having the conversation of, all right, like, how far are the Vikings going to go? Because I think we expect the Vikings to lose.
To lose? Yeah.
Like, we expect them to lose in the first round and be a one-and-done football team, no matter how good their record is, because that's just, over the years, what they've done. This Vikings team is also one more slip up from the Detroit Lions away from taking their division and also taking the entire NFC.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eagles are on the same trajectory. You've got 3 12-2 football teams right now on that side. And
who would the Eagles play today?
The Eagles would be going up against the Commanders 2 versus 7. And I like that matchup for the Eagles. This time around, Jaden Daniels is healthy. I'm hoping for a better matchup between the two and better production from guys like McLaurin and Jaden, because those are the guys that scare me going into the semifinals, knowing what we saw the first time these two teams matched up, but also knowing Jaden Daniels was hurt. And for a couple of weeks when his ribs weren't right, that production wasn't right from him. Last couple of weeks, his last 4 weeks, he's averaging 27 fantasy points in regular league. So for our leagues where, bonuses are involved, we're talking 35, 38 points, like, 40. I think he gave me like
Listen, if
41
a
this
guy
past
does a
week.
50-yard play, come on, man. They
Reward,
deserve
treat yourself.
bonuses.
Treat yourself. Have a little fun. Have a little fun with it, dog. This is what we do. This is what we do. There was a lot of big plays in True Legends where we were looking back and like, damn, if the bonuses were activated for this shit would be over. Like, if
I would have won more games.
If I had bonuses, I would have scored like 500 on Magic. Because my team went off.
I would have made the playoffs.
You were in the fight until the end, man. You were definitely in the fight until the end.
Jameis Winston screwed me. A 75-point game against the Broncos.
He gave me 8 points. I still beat Matt because Matt's guys kind of shit the bed, but Winston, it gave me a terrible start, but I had him in the starting position. I was ready to fire him up. Hell, I was ready to fire him up in On the Money Sports. It was going to help me make my decision easier with Jaden Daniels. I would have sat Jaden Daniels. I would have started Jameis Winston and Josh Allen, and that would have been my 1-2 punch because I'm telling you, Winston against this Bengals secondary, oh my goodness. Like Cedric Tillman might be coming back. For those of you who are excited about starting Jerry Jeudy, like, how do you feel now? I know I wouldn't feel good.
That sucks.
I just, last month he's been like a number 3 ranked wide receiver in fantasy. You just take him from that wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 spot and you drag his ass all the way back down to the bench because you don't know what these guys are about to do. I'm thinking Jerome Ford 25 carries, Dorian Thompson 12 carries, and whoever the tight end that's healthy enough to start would be the leading target getter for a Dorian Thompson who so far hasn't looked good, like doing football. Honestly,
I don't know what DTR is going to do this weekend.
None of us do.
I don't know what DTR is going to do for you if. I just don't know.
It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be absolutely gross. It scares the shit out of me. I put in a waiver claim for DTR because I just wasn't thinking at first, and then I said to myself, I took the opposite end of the spectrum and said to myself, you know what's the best play here? It's probably the Cincinnati Bengals DST. A DST that last week Cincinnati allowed 20-plus points from the Tennessee Titans, but still got 20 defensive points because they get sacks, because they got the pick six, they force fumbles. Like, the Bengals defense is bad at a lot of things. What they're good at is generating fantasy points for you when you start them. So I grabbed the Bengals DST. I'm going to fire them up in On the Money Sports. It was either between them and the Colts going against the Titans, but this is one of those moments in time where it's like we're seeing the Tennessee Titans can put up points. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Colts, but they're definitely going to put up points, and I need a DST that's going to shut shit down, and I think the Bengals are going to be one of those DSTs.
Possible.
Who you rolling with in On the Money?
As of right now, I've got Baker Mayfield, Tua Tagovailoa, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Sam Laporta, Jordan Addison, George Pickens, and the Eagles defense. But I'm waiting on word for Kenny Walker because God knows.
Yeah.
I just picked up Amir Abdullah just in case. Just in case.
Well, we saw that this McCormick guy, who was a waiver wire darling from last week, is this week on IR, which shows you how fast things change. Jerome Ford, primary waiver wire target pretty much for this week. I was able to get him in a couple of spots. Nick got him in freaking True Legends, and he was already rostered and On the Money because I was definitely looking. The NFL threw a loop into things on Waiver Wire Tuesday with these quarterback benchings, just changed the whole trajectory of, like, for me, I had already put my waiver claims in before I got to work, so I wasn't worried about it. I was locked in on making some money, and I didn't have to worry about my waiver claims. I already knew what I was going to do. All of a sudden, I see in our group chat, you say Kirk Cousins getting benched, and I'm looking at, I'm thinking, what? Like, he's in the Superflex league where I'm competing for the championship in, and I I just been starting him. He's been giving me nothing, but I've just been taking his measly 15 to 17 points, and I ride the coattails of the likes of Chase Brown, Josh Allen, and the big dogs of the Elite Eight squad that I have put together.
I feel you.
But you take him out of the equation, and then this is after finding out about Jameis Winston getting benched. So at this point, I'm getting pissed off because now that's 2 quarterbacks in the same league that I have. And in a playoff roster that I don't have the option of having. Like, yes, they've been terrible, but it's nice to at least have the option heading into the weekend and know.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like, okay, this is the report I'm getting. This is the rumor and innuendo, and these are the facts. So I'm scrambling right now, looking to see what viable quarterbacks are out there. And now in my championship matchup against Mike D, my 2 top quarterbacks, I haven't figured out my flex yet. It's going to be Josh Allen paired up with Caleb Williams going up against the Detroit Lions in Chicago, a Detroit defense that every single week they're losing another player. We saw the first matchup that they had against each other on Thanksgiving. The Bears could have won that matchup. They screwed it all up. The coach got fired. It was absolute chaos. Lions got up on them early in that game, but, in garbage time, the Bears managed to come back, make a little noise, and now we're taking Jared Goff out of the dome, and we're bringing him outside to Chicago, cold weather, tough divisional matchup right now, and once again, a Lions team that, one more slip-up, you're looking at going from the number 1 seed after being number 1 all season to being the number 5 seed.
You're right.
And potentially putting yourself in another unfavorable matchup outside in the cold, maybe coming to the Northeast, and having to deal with a football team right now that is just playing some better football and is healthier too. Because this time of year, we talked about it off air. For the Lions, the momentum that they've got is going to push them into the playoffs, but the injuries are going to catch up to them once they actually get to the playoffs. And so all of a sudden, it's not a foregone conclusion that this is the Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know now. Like, we
don't know what we got, honestly. A lot's going to happen from now till then.
No Montgomery now. So you take David Montgomery out of the equation. Like, yes, we know that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have blow-up games, but here's the thing. He could go off. Laporta could go off. St. Brown could go off, and the Lions can still lose. Like, guys were going off this past week against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo won that football game, and now we got to be ready for that different conversation about Detroit, the favorite all year long, that is going to be sitting at that potential 5 seed if things don't get better.
You're right about that shit, because a lot can happen from now till then.
I mean, I'm picking them to win this week because I'm not going to pick Chicago. But
okay, so there are comments. So,
oh shit, read them off real quick.
Oh shit, there was a bunch of comments. Shit.
Where at? Was it on the?
It was on my main. It's on. I hate the way it's set up. I'm probably going to take my page off.
Hey, you should have done it on the.
Here we go.
The sports page.
So this is Mikey. So when a team drafts a QB in the top 5 ends being a bust, doesn't that set the franchise back years down the road? Oh my God. Chino said, "What's up?"
Well, it's like setting the QB
Terrell,
up for failure.
Miguel, nah. In the NFL, you could turn the franchise around quickly. Develop the kid. If it doesn't work out, move on. Keep the wheels spinning.
Bills had to develop Josh Allen.
We've seen franchises turn around quickly way too many times to argue that point. Jose Cage Fury, on the money. Love it, dude.
What up, bro?
I'm sorry that you didn't get to compete this past Friday, but like I told you in the comment, keep your head up. There's gonna be many more, bro. You got this, Mikey. And we've seen too many teams get set back for drafting the wrong bro. The fact you're acting like it's never happened still is effing crazy to me. How'd he give you 8? Man, he gave you 1 and 6 picks. Oh, F. Jameis. Judy got me 25. Winston got me 1. Make it make sense.
What's up, guys? I'm sorry. We're reading these late. I can't even see them still. You say this is on your page?
Yeah.
They're not showing up for me.
Terrell, how often does that really happen, though? Especially, oh no, this is Chris. Terrell, how often does that really happen though? Especially when you have 2 to 3 more holes. Terrell responded, Mike, I can say that both sides of the argument. It's on decision making. Make
Okay.
better decisions
All right,
to get better results.
I'm in.
Simple as that. Nothing crazy about that statement. Wentz turned into a disaster. We spent more on him than y'all did on Danny and had moved on, and we turned it around and got right back in the playoff. It's the organization, not the players. Half the time when the shit can't get right. Well, no shit, Terrell. I think that goes without saying, right? But sit here and act like drafting a running back at number 2 was a great pick when you need a QB and offensive line help when you go over their draft. Bro, you're still blaming 5 years. It's been 5 years.
You're not gonna let it go, bro. That's what from the gist of the comments, which I'm glad that we finally unlocked these because I was waiting. I was wondering
Miguel stewing over a pick made 6 years ago is just crazy to me. Act like there wasn't other opportunity to get the guys you wanted. It's been years since y'all drafted Saquon. And you still can't find linemen in 6 years? Woo!
I mean,
that is a great
the guy has a point.
Great point.
What happened to the other draft botches? You didn't just draft one. It wasn't one draft botch. You know?
It was multiples.
It wasn't just that one thing. It definitely set you back, but it set you back because it's the organization.
It sucks that it's not showing
back.
up on here, though, man.
And the people that are in charge, and this Joe Shane guy who is a total clown, and his job's still going to be there next year. Dable's job's still going to be there next year. The question is, who's the quarterback going to be for the New York Football Giants next year? Do they dip their hand in the quarterback pool for this coming draft, or do they go in on a name like Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford,
and then trade back?
Do the Giants trade back and just sign themselves a veteran? Like,
or
what do
just
they do?
draft Cam Ward? Like,
what's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next thing you guys argue
Shador
about?
Sanders has Las Vegas Raiders written all over it.
Yeah.
So the next pick, it should be Cam Ward. Pick the damn quarterback.
Cam Ward to the Giants.
But to Terrell's point, do we trust the New York Football Giants coaching staff to develop this kid?
I don't know. I mean, it's been a little bit since they drafted a quarterback, right?
Can't keep listen.
So it could work
out.
Kenny
Pickett was drafted 2 years ago. After 2 years, Mike Tomlin and the crew was like, we're out. You cut your loss.
Drafting Ward could buy Dable another year, maybe, because that could be the built-in excuse for this season. If they're a little bit better.
If he doesn't produce in the following season,
that's it. It's over. It's been 4 years, right? 3 years, and it's time to move on at that point. Well, no, more than that. It's been 5 years.
If they do that, they still don't get that elusive lineman.
Yeah, because if they trade back, what the hell do the Giants trade back for? Like, what are they gonna need most on draft night at the end of the day?
I think what hurt the team too this year was when Andrew Thomas went down. Once their stud left tackle went down, like that offense just got even more pitiful.
Yeah,
and you seen like what Alexi quickly did. Alexi quickly traded with Matt and sick picks, Malik Neighbors for Tyreek Hill immediately.
Yeah, he shipped out Neighbors, right?
Quickly.
He shipped them out. Neighbors look good this week. It's crazy. Who would have thought Tim Boyle would be the quarterback of all the quarterbacks that could unlock a decent, fantasy output from this Giants offense? And now this week, the Giants come out and announce that it's going to be Drew Lock that's going to be the starter. Every week, it's like a carousel with this football team. They're probably going to lose to the rookie and the Falcons. Like, I'd be shocked if they beat Michael Penix. It was Boys to Men? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. That was definitely a twist. All right.
That was a Vince Russo.
That was a swerve, yeah. Yeah, that was a swerve.
It was me all along, Austin.
Hard to develop someone when you're constantly changing the regime every 2 years. Yep. It wasn't just the one pick that set us back. I agree with that, and I'm stewing over it. I'm defending the statement by Alex because it holds truth regardless. The talent since that draft has been meh, and we keep switching the staff. There's no stability in the organization, and like I've been saying all year, it all starts at the top. If we aren't going to have stability, then there's no hope for the immediate future, plain and simple. But I won't sit here and listen to bullshit like what we angry Giants fans are saying is just rubbish. it sounds as though the Giants are going to be bad for a couple more years.
Oof.
Honestly, like you're not just going to turn it around next year. You're not just going to turn it around the year after that because there's so much to just process with this football team, and there's so many holes, and there's so much Swiss cheese, you know. And of course, I'm telling you guys right now, this Shane guy, he ain't it. He ain't the guy. If a person that is not the guy is going to come back and continue to be in the position that he is in, I can hope for the absolute best for Cam Ward or whoever the Giants end up drafting.
Hey, Quan, you there, man? Yeah, you're going to let us match, right? You go out there, you find what you want, and just in case, you're going to let us match, right? Yeah. Philly's out. It's Chicago. They're overdoing it.
Chicago's going to up the bid. I don't know how true that is.
Yo,
I'll never forget that.
The way Mara walked out of that office with that laugh, like, I'm gonna fire you. That was the kind of.
It's the most like it's like, what's it called? Dropping the fourth wall. Like when kayfabe to drop, like it's the most kayfabe moment in the history of Hard Knocks where shit just got too real, and you're saying to yourself, like the intern that spoke up, like, why don't we resign Saquon?
Yeah, the
like
intern
bro.
The only person in the room that knew it was a good thing to do was the intern.
Like, you're getting all this gossip and bochinche from this football team right now. It's like you're in the room with them and you're watching this go down.
I'm not saying the Giants would have been a really good team this year, but I will say the Giants would have been a better team with Saquon on the team.
They wouldn't be a tanking football
Without
team.
a veteran presence on the O-line, we are not doing anything. What's up,
What up,
Eric?
Eric? What's going on?
Good point.
Man, O-line's still bad. Defense is not healthy. When the defense is healthy, they're solid, but their defense is in shambles right now. So, you know, that's just it's all terrible. Like it all went to shit. And Neighbors is great. And now you have potentially Ward, who's going to come into the fold if that's who they choose to draft, or this football team decides to trade back. And I think that it's going
This team has a history of trading back, too.
I think it's going to set people off. Like, Giants fans are already ready to snap if they don't go out there and do what they need to do in this draft.
Eric, Mike, Chris, Alexi, would you prefer to stay at the second overall slot and take a Cam Ward, or would y'all prefer to trade back and accumulate picks?
Yeah, like, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to trade back, or what do you want to do with that second pick if it's not Cam Ward? Like, what are you thinking going into draft night, knowing that you guys are going to be at the top of the show, kicking things off with that second overall pick? Like, do you want to trade back? Because you know that that's going to create a firestorm of the fan pages, the fan base itself. Everybody's already ready to have. They got their pitchforks out and their torches. Like, people are ready to go crazy. Deion Sanders came out and said what he said for a reason. And now you have all eyes on you for, once again, draft night. What happens? Do they botch another pick? If we can just focus on building for the future, I could see us in the mix in a couple of years. It's not like we have absolutely nothing. We have decent pieces, just need more, plain and simple. Defense looks bad because they are on the field for 40 minutes. Yeah, you can't do much when your defense is on the field for that long. They're gonna eventually wear down.
They tried to do something Sunday. Up. They started with a takeaway.
Yeah, Sunday started out very spooky. You had the Burrow pick immediately, which, you know, I had Burrow in sick picks.
Didn't Tucker miss a field goal?
I don't know. He might have. I dropped him, though. I didn't start him. I didn't start Tucker. I couldn't do that to myself. I didn't want to look at him. I dropped him because I didn't want to start him, and I didn't want to see what he did on my bench. I'd rather just not even think about it. But you had the Titans starting out with a pick. You had the Giants starting out with a turnover on to like 5 minutes into the Sunday slate. You know, we're all looking around at ourselves saying, like, what the hell is going on here? And then, you know, the dust cleared. Ravens went crazy. Rashad Bateman went crazy.
It's because the Giants couldn't sustain offense.
No. Neighbors look good, though.
I don't know. I don't know what the thing. Cam Ward looks like he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I would pick them.
Terrell, I want to hear them say, take that pick. Got that redo 5 years later from the Saquon pick right back at that position. This is where it starts. Make sure they pick, make the pick, get your guy. Yeah, I mean, go get Ward. Go get the quarterback that you need. You know that this is a rebuild anyway. Don't leave us in suspense. Go out there and get yourself the quarterback. It makes the most sense.
We know one quarterback is off the books. Drew Aller came out earlier this week, said he's going back to Penn State for his senior season. So you could take Aller out the mix.
And you can also like take out the suspense of the Giants potentially being good next year because it's going to take a couple of years, which means no hot seat for Daboll.
If the Giants,
no hot seat for Shane.
If the Giants don't pick Cam Ward and they trade back,
now you're in trouble.
They're tanking another year so that they can get their hands on Archie,
which would be stupid. Their fan base is already miserable. Just give them something. Just give them something to feel good about here.
I really believe it. I truly, honestly believe it.
And now let's talk about another team linked to them because of what happened between the two teams. Daniel Jones, now in Minnesota. Sam Darnold, potentially a free agent that is going to sign with another team. What happens
Sam
with Daniel
Darnold,
Jones?
From what I read, is looking to get paid. From what I read, it looks like he can probably get $40 million a year. So, if Sam Darnold decides to leave Minnesota, the question becomes, does the next team that Sam Darnold go to have Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, a good offensive line? Or does he go to a team that's the drizzling shits and he's the New York Jets, Sam Darnold again?
I was going to say.
Where if you're the Vikings, you don't have to do anything because you drafted J.J. McCarthy high. And McCarthy has now had a full year to sit, honestly, and learn the game.
Yeah, sit and heal.
And J.J. McCarthy is just a younger version of Sam Darnold. I'm not saying he's going to put up Darnold's numbers this year, but who's to say he doesn't manage the team well enough to still win games?
You think
and it'll be a lot cheaper.
You think Jones stays?
And that's another option. At this point, they can let Darnold walk.
They got two quarterbacks.
And if O'Donnell, who feels like I can take any quarterback and get something out of him, look what I've done to Darnold. I helped facilitate Baker Mayfield. Well, no, he wasn't. He was already with the Vikings at that point. He helped make Kirk Cousins better than what Kirk Cousins was. For a stretch, he made Josh Dobbs look really good. Who's to say Daniel Jones, dare I say, progress?
Giants will hate that.
Develop?
Giants will hate to see that.
For the Vikings?
If Minnesota gets him serviceable, because right now Jones is doing the same thing McCarthy's doing. Is sitting.
They can franchise tag Darnold if they choose to.
Terrell asks, is Darnold the product of the system, though?
But that's what I mean.
That could be.
If you put Daniel Jones in there and ask Daniel Jones just to do what Sam Darnold did.
And Terrell also agrees as far as like they want Archie. They're going to try to do the thing that I don't think they should, and they tank again and then go after Archie Manning in the draft and have that moment, generational
I truly,
thing.
honestly believe that's what they're going to do.
I know that probably won't sit well with the fan base of having to play the waiting game. And
however, I think the Vikings are not going to re-sign Darnold. I think Darnold's walking, and I can see them re-signing Daniel Jones and having Daniel Jones and J.J. McCarthy compete for the job this training camp. And they might lean towards Jones because of the veteran.
Yeah. He'll beat out McCarthy.
Yeah.
McCarthy has
But he might be on a short leash.
Yeah.
I think that's the route the Vikings may go.
It'll cost them less money.
Listen, Sam Darnold could wind up back as a New York Jet, or dare I say, a New York football Giant.
New York Giant, Sam Darnold, $40 million a year. Woo, Giants fans. But that would entail the Giants trading back, right?
Yeah. I think they trade back.
You don't think they use the number 2 pick?
Nope.
I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I know they're going to argue about it.
But then that's when you got to wonder about the quarterback needy teams in the top of the draft. Do the Tennessee Titans try to mortgage the future for Cam Ward?
We could. Raiders.
The Raiders are picking Shador. They're going to stay number 1. The New England Patriots are not picking a quarterback. Drake May has shown enough where they just got to get people around them.
It would make the most sense for them to trade back.
They may trade back as well.
Because they have the quarterback.
The Dallas Cowboys aren't going to pick a quarterback with the money they just dropped on. No. The Falcons, they're not picking. The Panthers could be an option. However, I think Bryce Young, since coming back into the lineup, has played good.
He's looked better, man.
I think he's looked like an NFL quarterback.
He's looked better. You got to give him what he needs. You've seen what he can do when you give him a wide receiver.
Dare I say that, they should have beat the Eagles. They were a touchdown drop pass from that happening. That would have been 3 wins on his belt.
And I like the young wide receivers they have. So, you got to let Bryce cook a little bit out there.
Is this On the Money Sports or Giants 366?
I know we're trying to move on here.
We are.
We're trying to move on. It's you guys are a focal point of the draft this year. That's the thing. We're heading into that portion of the year.
Are bringing Watson back, Terrell. They already announced it.
There's no
the
shocker
coach,
there.
The GM, Watson, the whole trifecta is coming back next year, and I am so excited that that's happening.
Jameis Winston. Where does Jameis Winston go next year?
Winston can get cut and go.
He can.
He could go to the Giants.
Oof. Giants fans.
He's not going to be afraid to sling the ball.
I know we were saying we're moving on, but Giants fans, Jameis Winston or Sam Darnold?
I would take Winston.
J-Mo, just rock with it. You know what you're getting with J-Mo.
At least when he's losing, he's not. It's not a complete tank.
You're gonna be getting the ball down the damn field. That's for sure. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying
to
move that ball
there's going to be teams that are going to offer the Giants a lot to move out of the 2nd overall slot.
Do you think they're tempted to do it? Carolina's scrappy. Yeah, Panthers aren't too bad, bro. The Panthers are, if anything, developing a little bit more quickly than the Giants are because they were in the same mud at the end of the day, the Panthers and the Giants. They were in the same place when this year started.
I also think Jameis Winston, Cleveland just sucks. He tried.
They've become a rough watch for sure. He was terrible.
Not
one of the better games on the slate.
David Njoku is the most overrated tight end in the NFL, or even player. I haven't heard of a guy the potential of that guy. This bitch has been in the league since 2017, and we're still talking potential.
He's a favorite target of J-Mo. So, from that perspective,
Jerry Jeudy finally played the guy that was supposed to be drafted for the Broncos.
With J-Mo. Cedric Tillman was a household name for about
Cedric Tillman,
getting the ball
honestly,
down the field.
The Cleveland Browns are a quarterback, and I hate to say this, and a running back away. Nick Chubb's done.
What do you think about Jerome Ford's future?
I don't think he's the guy, or do you think
he's like a
He had his chance and he didn't do shit
he needs another guy there.
He's a tag team partner.
Two-headed monster.
He's a Marty Jannetty.
You put him in a Buck situation, he could thrive. Where you have Rashad White, you got Bucky Irving. You got the 1-2 punch.
You need something like that. Yeah.
It'll work out.
Sure. Rashad White's Marty Jannetty. Bucky Irving, Shawn Michaels.
The Chargers need a guy like Jerome Ford right now.
Yeah.
When you look at the group they have,
that would work for him. A system like that.
It's a season to be great.
You know who's going to get paid? I don't know if he's a free agent yet. Justice Hill.
Yeah.
That's a guy who might,
Winston going to Walmart.
There's a lot that's going to
have talent.
You're going to see a lot of teams' true self in the next couple weeks. You're going to see those teams that are hanging up in the top 5 already of the draft. They're going to do everything in their power not to win. Dayball played it smart this weekend. Oh, Cutlets is. I'm going to throw Tim Boyle in. It was only going to get worse.
It got a little better.
Actually, look what Cleveland's doing. You think Dorian DTR can give a better opportunity to win over Jameis Winston?
I think he's
no.
I think it's gonna be bad.
That's called a tank.
Winston's in line to be the backup quarterback for this
The
football
Bengals
game.
are going to destroy the Browns this weekend. Who else is in the top?
Imagine if they didn't have that Watson contract and it's reallocated to the team.
Imagine they just didn't give up on Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep Baker, they keep the money in him. Who knows, like, what the conversation is about the Cleveland
Who's had a
Browns
better
right
career
now.
since leaving Cleveland?
I mean, he gave them their last playoff win. Like,
he almost beat the
it
damn
was-
Chiefs.
It was Baker Mayfield that did that. Like, and now they're nowhere near the playoffs. A team that we thought I had them at like 8-9, 9-8 in my August picks because I just felt like it's the Browns. Something's going to happen to them. I had no idea it would get as bad as it did get. Jameis Winston was that silver lining of hope for this football team for a bit.
All right,
You know?
so I got the list right here. So the number 1 overall pick's the Raiders. You know they're
Sanders.
they're going Sanders. 2 is the Giants. I think they trade out.
No
3 is the
Ward.
Patriots. They're probably going to pick whoever the best offensive player is or best defender.
You don't
That's
think
what
they
they'll
go
do.
for Ward?
No,
knowing that,
they got Drake May, and I think the Patriots like Drake May.
who's your top
The
selection
Jaguars.
who's your top selection to trade up to the second spot? If you got the Giants trading back, which team do you feel like
The
is going to
Jets.
trade themselves in? The Jets? Oh, you really want the Giants fans to freaking go crazy on draft day. Make a draft day trade with the New York Jets is nasty work.
Yeah. The Jets or the Browns.
Not the
It
Bears,
could be the
right?
Titans
Not the
too.
Bears. Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
The Jaguars ain't picking a quarterback.
They don't need to.
The Panthers, it's questionable if they pick a quarterback or not.
I don't think they need
The
to
Titans, I think your coach is over Will Levis.
Oh, he's done.
I think he's done.
It's over. He's done. We've seen the end of Will Levis.
Yo,
in
he just
Tennessee.
bent like the first time
This
the
past
benching
year.
happened. It's because the shoulder
He needed
sprain.
it. Yeah, he needed it to happen, and he came back. He played good for a while, and this past weekend, it was once again just the real Will Levis show.
It's crazy because
and it's over.
they were
over.
they were hanging tight with them at first.
Then
it
we were
was-
scoring. We scored 27 points. We lost. Like, we lost another game, and it was a lot of bad turnovers and decisions. Once again, that led to
Miami's not
a
going
loss.
for the Saints could move up, but the Saints have so many cap issues to then move up in the draft
They
and
might
give
just
away
stay where
draft
they are.
picks. Yeah.
They might just stay where they are. Yeah, I mean, it could be us. And I wouldn't be mad at the Cam Ward pick because we need a quarterback. But in my mind, I feel like it's more likely that we end up signing a vet like Sam Darnold, giving him $40 million. You saw how much we were willing to pay Tannehill. Why not sign Sam Darnold, lock him in for a contract, and then he turns back into a pumpkin when he's with us? And we're just in that same vicious cycle.
The Broncos' last 3 games are the Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs.
Like, I think with Sam Darnold at the helm, we could have won more games.
Chargers got Denver, New England, Vegas to end the year. That's more manageable than Denver.
Yeah. Like, we'd have won more games with Sam Darnold, so Sam Darnold would turn us into a playoff team, but it's like, the expectation level is, I'm not going to raise it too high. I just think that knowing my team's history, we're better off signing a veteran quarterback than drafting, because we
I think
haven't
Philly
developed
might get
one.
the number 1 seed, bro.
What's going on, Paul? Eagles get the number 1 seed, you think?
Yeah.
So a win this week, you think they just win out and take it?
I think
and the
Philly
Lions
wins
slip
out,
up?
yeah.
Paul just checked into the conversation. Perfect time for him, as you've just declared the Eagles to be the winner of the.
I think the
National
injuries.
Football
I think the
Conference.
Vikings are going to pull the upset and beat them last game of the year, and the Lions might actually be the wild card,
and then the Vikings at
which
the 2
would be
seed.
wild.
Vikings
However-
at the 2 spot, and then it's still a crapshoot as far as who that 7 seed is going to be. Like, we don't know
It's
yet. It's the Commanders for now.
It sucks for the Lions because they're just getting they're getting brutal injuries at a brutal time. Like, their whole defensive front
Who's
line's
backing
been
up?
decimated.
We have Mason Rudolph. So Mason Rudolph might be there next year. I I don't know.
I don't think the run game for the Lions is going to take a step back, though.
Oh, Gibbs is still going to be
Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be just nasty. It's going to get a lot of work.
Lock of the year, Eagles, Pittsburgh, Super Bowl. We'll
That
see,
would
man.
be wild.
We'll see.
That would be wild.
But I mean, we've got the tape on what Gibbs does
And they
when
need to move the
Montgomery's not
Super Bowl to
around.
Happy Valley.
Like when Montgomery's not there, Gibbs goes off.
Gibbs eats.
So he's going to eat with Montgomery.
But
there.
I just think Philly's schedule's easy. I don't think Philly's going to lose a game for the rest of the year, which is crazy because then that's 13 wins in a row.
I don't think the bye week helps Philly though. I think Philly is better off playing Wild Card Weekend because I don't think. Yeah, I don't know how much good that bye week is going to do.
A non-Packers fan told me today he thinks the Packers can beat them.
Packers?
Yeah. I don't know Jordan Favre.
There's more consistent NFC teams.
Jordan Favre is everywhere.
If he's saying the Packers can beat them, that means there's a couple more teams that can beat them because those teams can also beat the Packers. Like the Packers
the
are
only team in the NFC that I could see beating Philly is Detroit.
Tampa. Because Tampa always beats
Tampa
Philly.
too.
Philly has yet to beat Tampa.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Anytime. Regular season, playoffs, like Tampa Bay owns Philadelphia.
Ever since that game where there's the Bucks never won a game like below 40.
Yeah, it's been a wrap. Ever since somebody brought up the temperature, bro. Ever since somebody brought up the temperature, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have proceeded to eliminate the Eagles from the playoffs, 3 or 4 times already?
Yeah.
Since then?
Brady eliminated Hurts in his second season as a starter. And Baker
went into Philly for a game that everybody already knew Philly was going to lose because of how bad they were playing, and he beat them in Philly, right?
Nah,
that was in Tampa. I'm sorry,
Philly lost the division. Philly lost the division after that last year's downfall.
But I think Baker and the Bucks they're capable of beating the Eagles in Philly.
The Lions can drop a 50-piece on anyone, bro. I know they just lost to the Bills this week. But like I keep reminding people, they put 42 points on the board
But again, Campbell with the gambles, dog.
Campbell, the gambler.
Campbell with the gambles was the reason.
There was no reason
why the Lions lose another big game.
And I remember telling you that. I said, why
again.
is he going for the onside? You're only down by 10.
He did it again, bro. He did it again. In a
and
big
the
moment.
then I went back and looked at the box score. The only reason why the Lions pretty much lost was because they didn't score nothing in the first quarter. Because after the first quarter, the Lions outscored the Bills.
The slip up is going to potentially
the Amon-Ra fumble.
The slip up is going to be the slip up for Detroit is going to be off of a banana peel that they threw on the ground themselves. Because in these big moments, all eyes were on the Bills and the Lions in that game. All eyes were on that game. That meant everything for all of us for all sorts of reasons. And we saw in that big moment, he does.
Jared Goff put up 100
takes the risk. That's crazy.
In On the Money Sports,
that's crazy.
In Nick's league, he gave me. Of course, I'm already out of the playoffs. In a consolation game, gave me almost 80 points.
I believe we meet the Bucks in the playoffs and break the Bucks curse in the playoffs, and that's what you have to do.
Paul acknowledges there is a curse.
That's what you have to do. You face that team one more time, you finally beat them, and it goes a long way for the team that gets that monkey off their back. Steve Young had to do it with the Cowboys. Hell, for the Eagles and Donovan McNabb had to do it with the Giants when the Giants were on this crazy streak that they had against McNabb and the Eagles, like 9 straight. I think it was. Like sometimes you have to face your boogeyman head on, and you've got to be able to eliminate them. So maybe this year the Bucks come to Philly.
Onside to begin the fourth was insane, Paul. That was crazy.
That was Chris that said that. Yeah, that
was Chris.
There was no reason for it. In a 10-point ball game, there was no reason for it. You get the ball back, you just make a stop. They weren't confident in their abilities to make a stop because Josh Allen was out there going crazy. And for everybody who said bench James Cook, there's no way he's going to run on the Detroit defense. He ran all over Detroit, bro. This is not the same Detroit defense from the beginning of the season. These guys are hurt. They are wounded. There is blood in the water. Yeah. And the Bills are going into this game scared.
In Kingpin's dynasty, maybe I should have just played out the year because I'd be in the next round of the playoffs.
St. Brown got me moving on in 2 leagues. He came through for you, Chris. You moved on in Kingpins, and then what's the other league? Boo McNabb. Not a fan of McNabb, Paul? Not
McNabb's the
guy?
best Philly ever. Well, I don't know. Jalen Hurts is slowly taking it.
Bill scored immediately after the onside kick. It just made everything worse.
Yeah, because they got the ball at like the 40-yard line.
It made everything so much worse than it didn't have to be.
Well,
bro.
I think they scored a touchdown in like 3 plays. Hey, Sam Laporta, thanks for coming through for me like this late in the year. Can I get another 21 piece this weekend?
Look, let's paint the picture for it. You're taking Jared Goff out of the dome, and you're putting him in Chicago, in the cold, to go against the Bears. Lions can beat them, but I don't know if it's going to be pretty. This could just be the Jahmyr Gibbs show.
This is going to be a 14. This is going to be a 17-14 game, bro.
And Jahmyr Gibbs gets both touchdowns.
Goff's going to be like 12 of like
12 for 13.
12 of 19.
12 for 13.
180 yards and a touchdown that was a screen pass.
McNabb hater. He's a choking alcoholic. I'm not a fan. Oof. A lot of rough years with him, it sounds like. A lot of pent-up frustration from those early 2000 years when the Eagles continued to get to that NFC Championship game and just find different ways, man, to just screw the pooch. But still, they were competitive, you know, like that marked the turning point for that organization and Jeffrey Lurie to be there. And so now this is the 19th time he's gotten them into the playoffs. You know, under Jeffrey Lurie, this team is a contender.
They probably missed the playoffs like what 5 times.
Yeah. Before him, there was dark days. I remember I was growing up watching these guys. They were
Lurie bought the team in 95?
I believe so. Around that time.
They made the playoffs 95. They made the playoffs 96. They made the playoffs 97.
Did they make it all 3 of those years? It didn't feel like it. I feel like they were terrible. Or maybe that was just watching the game with Eagles fans and listening to them complain the whole time. They just made it seem like this team couldn't do anything right. I remember, didn't they get...
No. They didn't make the playoffs 97. I don't think they made the playoffs in 98, 99.
Oh, Paul's a TO guy, he says. So he's on TO's side.
They made the playoffs in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2000. No, they didn't make the playoffs in 2005.
19 times since then they've done it.
7. No, they didn't make it in 7. No, they did. They got eliminated in the first round. 08, they made it to the NFC title game. 10, they missed 11. They missed 12. They got in 13. They missed 14. They missed 15, 16. They got in. Yeah. Damn, they've had success with him as their owner.
19 times. You should have just trusted my math.
I know. I'm just trying.
You were working too hard. I got you, bro. I got you.
Yeah.
19 times under his regime. The one Super Bowl that they never had came from him. You know, like he's been able to build a sustainable.
The Pittsburgh game was a split with T.O. and McNuggets. I remember that game. That was Ben's rookie year. We were the first team to beat 2 7-0 teams in back-to-back weeks.
05?
04.
04.
That's when
15
we were beating the bricks off of them, and then T.O. was going to Donovan like, come on, man, come on. Donovan didn't want to hear it.
Oh, that's when he was yelling at him on the sidelines?
Well, he wasn't yelling, like trying to pump him up.
Remember the public workout? Or he was just
that was after that year.
Crazy. You know they're still going at it? They were going at it when we were talking about Hurts and AJ having issues. McNabb and T.O. took that as the opportunity to rekindle their shit. They're going
McNabb
at each other
said something about you got to be grown men and go and talk about it. He goes, oh, now you want to talk about it. Now you want to be a grown man and talk about it.
Still, bro, all these years later.
I remember
crazy.
When T.O. was doing that, Eric, the owner of Burger King at the time, his sons, Travis and Eric Jr., were filmed on Channel 3 playing basketball with T.O. because he lived in the neighborhood. So they were there when the sit-ups were occurring. Like, they were in the background. Like, that was wild, bro.
For a time when social media wasn't where it is now, that was crazy. That's like one of the first things to go viral. through like word of mouth and just being replayed all day long on SportsCenter. Like T.O. owned SportsCenter for a couple of years because of the shit that he was doing off the field. Like he was the most controversial figure in sports at one point. I remember this. Like I remember that time period and how crazy this all was for me. And the fact that like with him, Philly had it all. And then you have that rift between McNabb and T.O., which leads to him eventually ending up in Dallas.
Well, shout out to Eric and the BK boys, the BK days.
And you know, he winds up in Dallas with Tony Romo. It was a movie, man.
That was wild.
It was a movie.
Then he cried. That's my quarterback.
Giants made him cry. They lose to the Giants in the divisional the year that the Cowboys went 13-3, where everybody penciled them in to go to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. They played each other that year. Patriots beat them. It was like week 6 or 7. It was a good game. Like they were going at it, and they were both undefeated going into that game. And the Patriots ended up beating the Cowboys just like they did everybody else.
That game.
It was fun. It was the Randy Moss year. So
Moss, he always brought his A game against the Cowboys.
He was out there putting on a show. Yeah, that 13-3 Dallas Cowboys team was like the best version of them with T.O. there. After that, he's got problems with.
What are you talking about? A fun game? The Patriots won 48-27.
Oh, well, maybe Dallas started out hot, and the Patriots just ran up the score on them. It's revisionist history. I don't remember. That's what the Patriots were doing.
At halftime, it was 21-17.
Okay, so yeah, second
and
half,
then
it just
Dallas
the wheels fell off.
Took the lead at 24-21. Then it went 27-24, 31-24, 38-24. Then it was 38-27, 41-27, then 48-27.
And that was in Dallas too.
Tom Brady threw 5 touchdown passes in that game.
That was in Dallas, I believe.
Wes Welker had 11 catches for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dante Stallworth, that's a name you don't hear often.
Stallworth.
7 catches, 136 yards and a touchdown.
Stallworth was like the 2 or 3.
Romo was 18-29 for 199 yards.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Randy Moss, man. Like one of my favorites. You know, praying for him for what he's going through right now, and I hope he beats it, man. I grew up watching that guy, and he's like almost like a Ken Griffey, where it's like you're the reason why I got into watching this sport because you're just so fun to just watch. So you basically grow up watching a guy. He feels like your uncle because you see him on TV for decades, and to hear what he's going through is rough. And you just hope that he makes it out of the other side on top and can get through it. And you know, I mean, cool of the Vikings organization to. Like, it was just cool, like, for them, like, all the fans coming out with the Randy Moss jerseys for the game, and it just adds another level of, like, importance to what they've got going on for this year, and the fact that they were able to win, and they're contending right now, and, like, you know, everybody wearing their 84 jerseys in the stands, like, it was just, it was a cool moment. Jefferson, after he scores, you know what I mean, like, shouting out Randy, and I like stuff like that. For a guy that, he deserves all that because he revolutionized the sport of football. He made his rookie debut week 4, taking on the Green Bay Packers, comes out and just lights them up. I don't remember how many yards he had. He had like 2 or 3 touchdowns. He was unguardable. Like, just that's when they had Randall Cunningham, Chris Carter. Like, that 98 Vikings team was so much fun to watch, in part because of rookie Randy Moss and what he was doing to these corners and these defenders of the league, literally mossing them and just creating a whole new terminology for what happens on the field when you get Moss. That came from him. It's like The Rock with SmackDown. That's his show. Like Moss, that's his catchphrase.
Just looking at the Cowboys 2007 season,
there was no debut like that I remember. Randy Moss, like I was still a kid. Like I was still trying to understand the game of football. You know, I was watching Brett Favre and John Elway.
The Cowboys swept the Giants that season too.
Yeah, they beat them twice and lost to them in the divisional. Yeah, the Purple People Eaters. Cunningham, they had They had, I believe, Robert Taylor was, I think, the
It's
running back.
crazy that
They had
if it
Chris
wasn't
Carter. They had Randy Moss. They had, who was the other guy they had? The other wide receiver. I forget his freaking name.
yeah, who was the kicker? Gary
Anderson. They had the one bar.
All he had to do was make that kick, and they would have went to the Super Bowl.
They go to the Super Bowl, and bro, Vikings Broncos would have been the Super Bowl of that year to me, dog. I was so disappointed.
I know the Broncos defense was good, but I don't know how they contain Randy Moss.
We're talking about this is his rookie year. He's
I
one
don't
game
think
away from
listen.
the Super Bowl.
I don't think Elway wins a second Super Bowl in a row.
They were clearly better than the Falcons, but we knew the Vikings were better than the Falcons. It was just that day, any given Sunday, the Falcons came out there and they just made it uncomfortable.
It doesn't matter. It goes into this day and age as well. Come playoff time, we all know a 1 or a 2 seed is going to fall.
15-1
because it always happens.
15-1.
Look at last year. The Ravens, home field advantage.
Yep.
Lose.
Being the 1 seed is tough because it doesn't bode any good for you a lot of times.
Being the 2 seed sucks too now because you got to play. You know, it's not like the old days where 1 and 2 got their bye.
But we also see that you can create a whole new.
However, I feel like sooner or later, they're going to bump it up to 8 seeds to the playoffs.
Listen,
and I think 1 and 2 is going to get there.
I don't like the bye weeks. I've spent a long time, in my lifetime of watching football, seeing underdogs create their momentum starting wild card weekend and then just go on a run from wild card weekend. You have that week off, and for a lot of teams, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs or the New England Patriots, you don't do well coming off of that bye. Ravens are one of those teams that don't do well coming off the bye.
The 2005 Steelers pretty much changed the trajectory of how that played. Because since then, how many other wild card teams have gone on the road and done it all?
I feel like it's more common. Couple. It's more common than 1 seeds going all the way now.
Yeah,
like in this era.
Yeah, like
underdogs.
The Steelers were the first to they were the first ever 6 seed team to win the Super Bowl. And like I go back and I tell people like, yo, they were 11-5 as a 6 seed, so it's not like they were a crap team. Then the Giants did it in 2007.
Packers did it.
The Giants were the 6 seed. Then the Packers did it in 2010.
The Packers did it. The Giants were able to do it.
All the Eagles had to do was beat them. Yeah. All Michael Vick had to do was just throw the ball right on time.
The Atlanta Falcons of '98 didn't win the Super Bowl, but they got to the Super Bowl, which is a lot further than everybody thought they were going to be, doing the Dirty Bird with
Chris Chandler,
Jamal Anderson.
Oh.
Broncos had Shannon Sharp at the time, Terrell Davis, John Elway.
That was a terrible Super
McCaffrey.
Bowl.
Oh yeah, it was like 30-19 or something. But like Broncos had it in the bag. They wouldn't have had it in the bag with Minnesota. That's the thing. Like Minnesota would have added a whole new level of complexity to that football game.
I watched that Super Bowl at my dad's friend Leo's house. We went to his house because I think he was so confident he thought the Vikings were going to do it. So he said, Super Bowl party's going to be at my house. So don't, and we went there and.
Was he a Vikings fan?
Yeah, die hard.
Oh, how was the party?
Die hard. He was sad. I remember he used to give me some bullshit excuse. He said Cunningham's going to work out and get bigger this offseason. Die hard Vikings fan, man. So I know that shit hurt. I remember watching the Super Bowl and I'm like, man, this sucks.
The one from the year before.
And he looks at me, goes, it would have been better with the Vikings, right, Junior? And I was like, yes.
Well, yeah. The one from the year before, Packers and Broncos, was better. The Broncos and Falcons ended up being a coronation ceremony for John Elway when it could have been or gone down as one of the more entertaining Super Bowls of that era. Because that's a WrestleMania type of main event. Vikings versus Broncos all year long. Broncos hot off their first championship. Vikings 15-1. Gary Anderson never misses a kick.
Mm-hmm.
He never misses. They send him out there, and he misses it.
If he makes that kick, they don't go to overtime. The Vikings win. We get Vikings versus Broncos like it should have been. Somewhere in the multiverse, it was.
Like growing up watching wrestling, That was the first time the NFL swerved me with that finish. When I saw that finish, I was like, yo, they just swerved the shit out of me because I never imagined Atlanta.
I'm looking forward.
the
I'm like,
Super
yo,
Bowl.
this is gonna be sweet.
There were newspapers printed with the two, like, Vikings versus Broncos. They already had the newspapers ready for the next day.
It's just like the Jets almost beat the Broncos that year in the AFC title game too.
Yeah. Vinny Testaverde.
Yup.
Those forgotten late 90s Jets teams, bro, that were like competing and getting to the AFC title games. Like,
it's spooky season.
yeah. Yes,
we're in the last 3 games of the year.
Yes, it is.
It starts tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We got a barn burner tomorrow night.
And that's what makes it even more interesting is that you're going to get sprinkles
Chargers,
of
Broncos this week.
You're not getting it all at once.
Yep. Saturday, you get Texans, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens. Then Sunday, Monday, you get the full slate. And then Wednesday, you get Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans. And then you get a Thursday night game. And then you get another Saturday, I think.
Wild.
Oh, and don't forget, like this Saturday, the college football playoff starts. The 12-team pretty much at the same time as the Steelers Ravens are playing, Penn State is playing.
Will the college football game be on in the lounge?
Yes, I'll have one of the TVs with a college game. We all know what TV's getting.
I'm excited.
Steelers,
I
Ravens.
know already, but I'm excited because it's Saturday. I'm off on a Saturday.
I'm gonna have the college football probably on one of these. I'll have the PS5 there if people want to play it.
Ugly sweater,
and then
Christmas party.
right behind me on one of these TVs, I'm also have some old school wrestling just playing in the background.
Nice nostalgia, some old school wrestling. What do you like? Maybe a Rumble. Get ready for WrestleMania season or something.
Maybe.
Viewers' choice. We're just like, you know, a lot of the shit that we spitball, that we talk about and joke about, we can just put that shit on.
Yup.
Just put some of that on in the background. Like, yo, you remember this? Like, even though I do like you like putting on some of the older school stuff that I never sat and watched. So sometimes I like
What's
watching
the
that.
one that we watched with Macho Man on my birthday, where he told Elizabeth, where he threw the wrestling magazine at her? Then he
was like crumbling pages.
Yeah, he kept crawling through.
He's crazy.
Nobody cares about your opinion, Elizabeth.
What will be better, Sonic 3 or the Niners versus Seahawks?
Well, the Niners, if they want to stay in playoff contention,
they play on Christmas Day.
Nah, they play on Christmas. No,
what's
that next Thursday?
I thought it was. Oh, is that Thursday Night Football? Oh, here's one: 49ers versus Dolphins. 2 teams that completely shit the bed.
Bro, I think that game could have fantasy.
Purdy versus Tua.
I think that could be fantasy gold, bro.
Is that the tilt right there? The 2 forgotten teams? Because
I really think so.
We're eliminating them from the playoff picture, so they have no choice but to go out there.
Seahawks Bears is next Thursday night.
Paul said no holds barred in the background. Oh, Zeus. He killed him in the middle of the match and didn't get arrested. Like, he died.
Oh, shit. We got Saturday games starting at 1 o'clock next week.
Oh, that's scary.
On the 28th.
This is championship week of fantasy. We're
Chargers Patriots at 1 on NFL Network. Broncos Bengals at 4:30 NFL Network.
Oh, that's a banger.
Cardinals Rams 8 o'clock NFL Network.
Saturday's a banger. That's good shit. That's a good slate right there for a Saturday.
And only 4 o'clock games for Sunday of next week.
Good job, NFL.
Next, the Sunday, December 29th is Dolphins, Browns, Cowboys, Eagles, Falcons, Commanders at 4 o'clock.
So the Cowboys and Eagles will be the 4 o'clock game.
My team plays.
Bears and Seahawks play on Christmas.
That's terrible.
Bears and Seahawks
and
might
the last
be
week
better
of the season,
than what people think.
We
honestly.
still don't have any times.
Bears and Seahawks might be better than what people think. Yeah. Yeah, they usually don't set that until these next couple of games because they have to flex out the games that don't matter, and they have to make sure that they have at 4 p.m. the clinching playoff games, like for the teams that still need to get in, wild card teams. Like they're going to give you the worthless trash at 1 p.m. and all the teams like that already clinched that are playing their reserves, and then 4 p.m. slate is going to be dedicated to the football teams that are still fighting to get in to the party, get into the tournament.
You have 4 4 o'clock games this Sunday.
I like it.
Vikings, Seahawks, Patriots, Bills, Jaguars, Raiders, 49ers, Dolphins.
Once again, I will be waiting till 4:25 for Josh Allen to hopefully carry me through the threshold of another round due to his magic. I'm also.
Is that a pun intended on that?
I'm gonna be. I didn't mean it, but it just came together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be waiting for the likes of Rashad White and Mike Evans for that Sunday night football game. So the slate for this week is spread out. You got tomorrow's game, a little sprinkle, 2 Saturday games, a little sprinkle, and then all day Sunday, Monday Night Football, Green Bay Packers taking on the New Orleans Saints with Spencer Rattler potentially being the starting quarterback. So a game that the Packers should win and potentially punch their ticket into the postseason because that would move them to 11 wins, and they'll potentially be able to just hold on to their spot and just make it like all about chasing that 6 seed or 7
Paul
seed.
said he's not going to lie. If he were a player, he'd hate having a game flex. I hate when my schedule gets rearranged. Which sucks for players because they're creatures of habit.
The league smartened up on it now for week 18. They did it last couple of years. We've seen it. They're going to make 4 p.m., the must-watch window with the playoff teams and the teams that have the most to play for, players that are playing for incentives. Because, hell, you do fantasy, you want the players that have something to play for. You don't want the guys that are going to check out and get benched halfway through the game because that don't get you the fantasy points that you need. Like, you want the Mike Evans of the world who are playing for the incentives. The guys that are trying to break those rushing marks, the guys that are trying to break the passing marks for touchdowns. Like, you want
Well, it looks like no one's going to break those rushing records this year because both Barkley and Henry have completely cooled off.
They've slowed down. They've definitely slowed down.
So I think them cooling off has taken them kind of out of the MVP race. And that's why it's pretty much down to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
I don't, I expect, I don't know what I don't think Henry's going to be that great this week. He usually always struggles going up against Pittsburgh. Barkley got the Washington Commanders, who have been playing better, but
looks like Jaden Daniels looks healthy again.
He's been playing good. He's been playing good football. They had a competitive game.
I mean, you hear about Vegas. Well, Vegas. Whoops. The refs that they were never supposed to stop that game, so that game should have never gotten that close.
Which game?
The Saints Commanders.
I remember sitting here with like us together and watching them go for 2 and just looking around at each other like.
So supposedly the refs stopped the clock even though they shouldn't have. So that stoppage helped the Saints run another play to score. So if the Saints had won, the Saints would have been epically robbed. I mean, the Commanders would have been epically robbed because the time should have never stopped. The Saints honestly should have never scored. So the Saints shouldn't have been able to cover the spread.
Would the Seahawks be ahead of them? Like, would that make the Seahawks a 7 seed right now, potentially? Like, would it like? It might have knocked them completely out of them because they'd be 8-6 just like Seattle.
That's a good point.
So it would just complicate things for them heading into a matchup with Philly.
At this point, the safest way for Seattle, if they want to make the playoffs, win out.
Yeah.
Because they face the Rams last game of the season. If the Rams, Seahawks win out up until that last game of the playoffs, I think whoever wins that game wins the division, and that'll who goes to the playoffs.
I'm guys are superstitious too, so yeah, they're superstitious. They're creatures
of
habit.
Terrell, first time in a long time I'm not playing Week 16.
Damn, everybody got wiped out. It be like that sometimes, man.
Last year I got wiped out in every round in the first round of all the leagues I made the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year I got eliminated in the first round of this league, and
last year's Week 15.
I was able to get the bye in On the Money Sports, which I'm very grateful for.
Strongest team.
Because I looked at the Money Club would have lost Wild Card weekend.
Yeah, we were scoring this past week.
I was not going to be able to keep up with everybody.
TJ dropped 270. I had 244. Danny broke 200, I believe.
I'll tell you right now, like
180 something.
I haven't like totally added up the numbers, but just eyeballing them.
TJ's team snapped, bro. Major upset that he pulled over Gabe, who went all season long 10-4, bragging about his team. He basically what we're talking about happening.
My
to
quarterbacks
Detroit
I would have started
Gabe.
last week most likely would have been Baker and Tua. Tua only gave 17, Baker 62. Josh Jacobs gave me 21, Jamar Chase 18, Chase Brown 26. I would have lost.
Oof.
Everything was under like 15.
Then we all would have beat you.
Yep. I would have lost.
You got to be ready to score this week because TJ is ready to score, and he feels like the most dangerous team on the board right now.
I'm projected to beat him only by a slim 8 points.
Me and Mike are neck and neck. I'm projected to beat him by 5 only.
And we felt bad for Joel because we were looking at it going, shit, he left Evan Ingram in the lineup.
And I just took a swig of beer. I was like, it's too late, man.
Yeah.
we sat here feeling bad. I took a swig for TJ.
Looking at Gabe's lineup, Jalen Waddle put up a fat 0 and left that game in the second quarter.
Duds he had. They did not help him at all, bro. It didn't even matter if he kept Ingram in there. It made no difference.
It didn't.
Because his team still scored 270 with one of his guys, basically an IR guy that he started as starting tight end. So if he would have started a tight end, he potentially can get to 300.
If it roles were reversed, if Gabe played Danny, he would have beat Danny. If you played Joel, you would have lost to Joel.
That's crazy because I scored 255
and he scored 273.
That's a crazy way to go out.
In the On the Money Sports League, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, Brian Thomas Jr. are all out of the playoffs.
Yeah. A.J. Brown is out. CeeDee Lamb is out.
Yeah. Kyron Williams is out. The strong resurgence second half season of JSN is out.
Yep. I would have won 6 picks if Jameis gave me 10 points. I consider that cup donut a wash on Thursday. I was able to make it a game with the donut.
That's true. I was talking about that too today, Terrell, with Alex. I said if Cooper Kupp had just gave what he normally does, even 12 points.
Yeah, you win.
Terrell upsets the number 1 seed.
Just the bare minimum.
Now, honestly, the number 1 seed looks like he's gonna it looks like Ant's gonna win it all.
Losing my East Coast and sick picks teams this past week hurt, man. I advanced in 5 leagues, but and Mikey, still think about the 2.
Mikey avenging his championship loss last year to Alex.
Yeah. Mikey moved on to the Final 4 there.
So it's what, Mikey and Bobby and RJ and Anthony.
They're the Final 4.
Yeah, RJ, your team beat me, but your team ain't beating that.
That's crazy. That's some good squads, man. But again, 2 underdogs like RJ and Bobby that got into the Final 4 after
this weekend's matchup between you and him is crazy in On the Money Sports.
Yeah.
Allen versus Goff.
Yep.
Daniels versus Murray. Yep. Hall versus Mixon. White versus Irving. Oh, shit, bro.
It's still...
Puka versus Nico. Higgins versus Evans. McBride versus Kittle. St. Brown versus Taylor. Jacoby versus Scary.
Yeah. Everybody you're going toe to toe. There's no bad teams anymore. There's no bad teams. There's no off weeks. Like there's the most stacked rosters in the league, and they're facing off here in the semis for an opportunity to get to the championship games. Now, what makes the Elite 8 league so special is the fact that we do our championship game week 16 with the 8-man league 4 playoff format. It's going to be me versus Mikey in the championship of Elite 8. While sweating out some semifinals, you still get the opportunity to be able to compete for a championship.
Elite 8 Super Flex 2 QB league.
Compete for a championship in a
where
week
you start 3 quarterbacks a week.
And you know everybody in week 16 is still playing for something. So I feel like it makes that part of what makes that league special is the fact that we do that, and we still have a lot of football left. And Mikey and myself are in the Final 4 in True Legends.
What did Watt finish giving you in that game?
Watt ended up giving me, I will check right now. I think it was a good amount, if I'm not mistaken. I think he made up for what I wasn't getting from Jameis Winston.
That's crazy.
Let's take it. I don't know. It's not. It's all showing zeros right now. Hold on. Look real quick.
Chris, one in Kingpins with a donut from my kicker. They pulled him out the lineup last minute, and I had a long night Saturday. Woke up to see him out. I was sick. Hey, you made the next round, right?
I still made it. Yeah. A lot of people gave donuts.
Today we had a dynasty chat in another league. The other league, the True Legends league members must have been like, take this shit somewhere else.
Yeah, we were talking about the dynasty.
We're talking about the dynasty league, True Legends.
Like 4 people just got eliminated in that league, and we're sitting here conversing about a totally different league, and they're ready to check out from this group chat regardless.
However, you seen Nick was down
31 points.
Watt gave
2
you 30.
sacks, a forced fumble, 7 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, 2 assists, 2 QB hits. So that's what he does. That's why I leave him in there. Even on the bye week, I left him in there.
But yeah, I don't think he cares if people drop that league.
I think he's ready for people to drop
ready
the
to
league,
infuse. Because you heard what he said. He wants to add Danny to True Legends.
I'd like that too. Bring Danny into the fold for True Legends. And
yeah.
You add a new level of competition. Somebody who understands the format. Yep. And can just add a new wrinkle. And Nick likes to compete against Danny.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of
True Legends is slowly turning into On the Money Sports.
It's on the Money Sports West. on the Money Sports West.
Because I think Nick likes the 2 QB league, and I also think
everybody does.
And I also think Nick agrees with me and you where the bonuses need to come back.
It's strategy, bro.
The bonuses need to come back.
Draft better. That's what I was told.
We had no bonuses for running backs. We had no bonuses for quarterbacks. We just had bonuses for wide receivers.
And guess what? Some of those same teams that you got eliminated or you didn't make the playoffs, if you would have had some of those bonuses for your teams, it would be a different conversation.
I think my record would have been better.
It would have helped everybody. It would have helped everybody.
You know how many times Jahmyr Gibbs did a 40-plus play this year for a touchdown? Or Kenny Walker? That annoyed the piss out of me.
Yeah, what can you do, man? I think that the 2 quarterback wave has slowly trickled into a lot of the leagues.
If you're in a 10-man league,
we do it in East Coast.
It should be automatic 2 quarterbacks. If you're in a 10-man league, it should be defaulted to 2 QBs. I'm sorry.
Give yourself the opportunity to.
You're trying to create super stacked rosters, but the problem is you can't even play half of them. So you got these banging ass players sitting on your bench you can't even use.
Now you're overthinking your decisions every week because you don't know who to start. You don't know who to sit. Add that second flex to your league. Don't be scared. You don't have to play fantasy a certain type of way. This is to have fun.
I mean, On the Money Sports added a flex this year that nobody expected.
I didn't expect that. That threw a wrinkle into the game plan but I adapted.
But it was crazy.
I didn't complain.
Like, when I seen Jake and Joel were like, all right. And Bobby was like, let's do it. And Mikey came back and goes, yeah.
That's what it was this year. Like this year, there was a lot of changes that I didn't expect to leagues. Like 2 of my old school leagues turned into 2 quarterback leagues, just like that. We added a
True
flex.
Legends turned into a 2 quarterback league the day of the draft.
South Jersey Brawlers League, they added a flex. I never expected that to happen. Guys were pissed because they got outvoted. I think it was like a 7-3. I think it was.
You think those 3 are coming back next year?
Oh yeah, it's. Everybody still played. It was still competitive. Like they're not crying about it now.
I bet you it helped them, some of them, over the long haul.
Once they saw the format and they looked at how people were drafting, and you had the advantage in that flex spot, it's a different ball game because now you're winning. You know, but it ended up being fun for everybody. Like we tried something new in a lot of these leagues, and everybody ended up enjoying it. So, like Chris, moving forward, like
that bonus with St. Brown and Kingpins is the whole reason I won 25 points in one play. But Chris,
sick.
It's deserving though. How can you have a 50-yard touchdown or just be 12 points?
Treat yourself, bro.
Come on, man. That deserves bonuses.
You know, it could work out for you. It could work against you.
Some of our bonuses might be outrageous, probably. Maybe you should have 10 points for 50 yards. Maybe it should be 5 points.
You don't have to put it for everything, but it's okay to have it for something.
A 40-yard shouldn't be 10 points either. Maybe you just do 4 or 5. I don't know, but there's got to be a happy medium, and there should be bonuses in every league.
Jonathan Taylor would have given me a bonus. Does he not drop the ball before he crosses the threshold of the end zone? I don't know why these guys keep doing that. Like, hold on to the
How
football
long
until
was
you cross
that?
the 41 yarder.
And all it
I
turned
might have
into,
needed that.
So all it turned into was honestly 4-6. It was a 4-point play because 2 points were taken away for a fumble.
Jonathan Taylor ended with 15 points, but it could have been a lot more.
Yeah.
Had he...
Would you have won your game?
It was against Danny. I already won. But I'm saying, like, Jonathan Taylor was one of the guys I was, like, most fearful of looking at that lineup. Like, who do I trust? And if something like that would have cost me against Danny, it would have haunted me the entire offseason. Because now
you already hate the Colts.
I'm playing what if Jonathan Taylor holds on? What if Jefferson holds on to that second touchdown in the game against the
you
Bears?
had Goff on the bench. Man, if you didn't have Goff on the bench, you'd have been fine.
The stack. Oof. These stacks.
I don't know. I just think, bonuses should be allowed. I'm a big proponent in 10-man leagues that it should be 2 quarterbacks.
It's 2024, guys. Evolve.
And if you don't want to then we turn into a 12-team league. Let's get 2 other people in there. Like
what, on the money?
No, I'm talking about True Legends.
True Legends. I mean, that's an option. Add 2 more and then do 2
go
flexes.
Back to the regular, yeah.
1 quarterback, 2 flex. If that's, but I'm having fun this year.
IDP.
I love the changes that were made to the True Legends League. I love the fact that it rubs some people the wrong way, and I love that most of the people that were complaining about it aren't even in the playoff picture anymore.
I was retarded picking Pat Mahomes.
You adapt or you perish. These are the rules of life. All right.
I picked him 9th overall when I could have picked Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
I was the first to rip a quarterback off the board.
Where I was gung-ho on getting that quarterback, a week later for my league, I didn't even pick a quarterback until like the 3rd round or 4th round. Like, I picked Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase back. Hill was there. I didn't feel like I thought getting CJ Stroud at 4 overall was a reach. I thought getting, the other guys at that high was a reach. So I said, Tyreek Hill's there. So I took him. Then on the wraparound, I'm like, bro, Jamar Chase is still here. Am I really going to let Chase go?
I'm looking at the True Legends recap of the first round here. You took Patrick Mahomes,
9th overall, 9th. Because he just listed him like that. I was the 9th pick.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Got you. Yeah, you're right. That makes more sense.
Like, dude, the way I drafted in On the Money Sports was the way I should have been drafting in True Legends that day.
Yeah.
And I now realize that's how I'm going to do this from now on. I should have known better because there was no bonuses for the quarterbacks. So what's the incentive of picking the damn quarterback early on? I should have been picking those wide receivers because the wide receivers still had the freaking bonuses.
I went with Josh Allen, baby.
I went with Mahomes and Gibbs back-to-back.
3 leagues, I went with Josh Allen as my first round
pick.
My
Gibbs pick I was proud of.
All 3 leagues, I made the playoffs with Josh Allen. Even one of those leagues, including a 2nd round pick of Christian McCaffrey, who I traded, and I got back James Conner in that trade. And James Conner's matchups are looking juicy down the line these next couple of weeks. So it worked out well. Josh Allen has been producing. And me and Mikey were actually talking about the fact where we kind of feel as though we added some elements to our formula this year that kind of worked out better for us. And that's why he's been able to find success. He's in a lot of Final Fours, and a lot of my teams were able to survive what could have been a brutal Week 15, depending on how I played it. Because last year showed me no mercy. Last year, most of my teams got wiped out.
It's Nick versus Mikey in True Legends?
Yep, and me versus Sleek.
Sleek beat Rasul.
Yep. Sleek beat Rasul. I won.
Had I made Mikey the playoffs, I would have beaten whoever I played probably. Because I put up like 2-something plus. Only person I want to beat is you or Magic. I was looking at it. I would have beaten Nick. I'd have beaten.
If you got in as the 8th seed, I would have dropped 300 on you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it would have been the super kick again. But everything just played out the way it did. And now like here we are in the semis, getting ready to sweat out another great week of football, fantasy football, and potentially big plays from the studs.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be a great weekend. Football most of the time, a Christmas party in between with some football sprinkled in. Saturday night, a lot of times during the week, because of our schedules, we don't get to hang out. We do the podcast, and then that's our opportunity to be able to hang out and catch up. Sundays in the lounge, we're hanging out. There's so much football going on that, you're caught up in everything that's happening. Like this past Sunday was great because this past Sunday was so much action at 425. Like we were chilling. Like we were in here chilling. I watched like every single thing. We watched all the ends of these games play out, and we kind of were forming and formulating our opinions on what we just watched and what it meant for us moving forward.
The Bengals need to win out. The Colts and Dolphins need to lose one game. And the Broncos and the Chargers need to lose out for them to get to the playoffs. That's a lot.
But all they need is for the Colts and the Dolphins to each screw up one more time. Which
but they need the Chargers and the Broncos to lose out.
Is that a different scenario, or
that's all? Oh no, that's or.
No, it's either or. So they can make it as long as the Colts and Dolphins both lose one more. Dolphins could lose this weekend.
Oh wait, no, it says and. That's not happening.
Or
it says and lose out or okay, I get it. So
plus,
they need
that plus.
They need the Colts and the Dolphins to lose one game, and they need either the Broncos or the Chargers to also lose out.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Not really. All they need to do is the Dolphins and Colts to screw up one more time.
And but then they need the Chargers to lose out or the Broncos to lose out.
No, it's them winning out. They have to win out. They can't lose again. If they lose to the Broncos,
they also need either they need the Dolphins and the Colts to lose one game, but they also need either the Broncos or the Chargers to lose out.
If anybody's going to do it, it's the Chargers.
That's possible.
The Chargers are primed for doing something like that and letting them back in. We talked about it earlier on the show. They play the Broncos in 2 weeks, Bengals, so they control their fate as far as being able to give the Broncos a loss themselves. Dolphins, I mean, it's week 16. These are not the Dolphins that we expected them to be in August.
I thought the Dolphins...
They ain't coming back. Like, it ain't the same.
They just lost too many games earlier in the year.
They're simply not good.
Tyreek Hill is just not Tyreek Hill this year.
They're in the same position as the Rams were, except the Rams turned it around and looked better eventually. And the Dolphins didn't flip that switch. The Rams thought
they did when they beat the Rams.
They gave you a glimpse, right?
You're like, oh shit! Like,
but they had no business winning that game, and then it just they went back to being themselves in a way. For as far as this
Tua
year.
In that first month of the season killed them.
Yeah,
because I don't think they would have been 2-4 when he came back. You know what I mean?
And Anthony Richardson. The Colts had the Broncos against the ropes, and then everything just fell apart. Adonai Mitchell with the pick six toss back thing that he did. There was Anthony Richardson's pick. It was a full on like collapse. I'm telling you, like every week that Will Levis does terrible,
Bill said he was ready to coach. Yeah, he did. I don't know what the hell that was for.
Doesn't bode well for any of us who are trying to put him in our starting lineups for this week.
Yeah,
I'm not excited. I'm counting on the people around Tyreek Hill to get me through in the league that I have him in, because this has just been one of those years where I just start him every week and don't look at the numbers for him because my expectation level is not where it once was for having a guy like that. And that's a league where I drafted him in the first round. I think I was the 7th or 8th pick in the first round. I took Tyreek Hill. I managed to go 9-5, 4th seed. A good team still, but it's not because of him. He's just, if he could go off, he'd be a lot more dangerous.
I've played in cold weather before. How cold is supposed to be reported? 35. Kyler, shit. I don't think you wanted to hear that.
Well, this week is interesting, bro, because I'm potentially starting him in a league, and I'm playing against him in 3 leagues. So whatever happens for me is going to happen for my opponents when it comes to Kyler Murray. I'm playing against myself here. So if he does good for me in 1 league, that means I'm going to need people to step up in 3 other leagues. However, if he does bad for me in 1 league, that means there's 3 leagues where I could potentially have the advantage and cash my ticket to going to a
Checking
championship.
some stuff right now on Twitter.
And Kyler doesn't even necessarily have to be terrible this week. It could just be a James Conner game. And Kyler and the Cardinals just don't have to throw a lot going up against the Panthers team that, like, they should be able to beat. We talked about how Bryce doesn't look too bad, and he doesn't. Panthers haven't been bad these last couple of weeks. They're more competitive, but Cardinals are the better football team. They should win that game. It's tailor-made for Kyler Murray to be able to go off, but we said that about him last week. So it's like part of the reason why I feel like starting him is because I'm going against him. But then there's that part of me that just doesn't know. And luckily, I have plenty of time.
Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken didn't like the wide receiver approach the ball security drills to start practice, so he went up to go over it. He knows what Pittsburgh's defense is capable of come Sunday. Steelers are tied for first in turnover margin at plus 18. He ran up to Zay Flowers, grabbed the ball, put it in his stand, and said, "This is how you run with it."
They might try to use Likely and Andrews more this weekend as like their wide receiver ones. Everybody who, if you were brave enough to start Bateman this past week, props to you. But Bateman only had like 5 fantasy points the last time these 2 teams played. I don't know if we're going to get another Bateman special this week against this Pittsburgh defense. However, guys like Mark Andrews, guys like Isaiah Likely, I could definitely see as the impact players for the Ravens offense to help them get the ball down the field. And if there's no George Pickens for the Pittsburgh Steelers on their side, I think that bodes well for the Baltimore Ravens to be able to potentially get a W on Saturday. Good news is Watt is back in practice. So, once again, Steelers are in a big game going to be relying heavily on what their defense can do for them.
Oh, Charles Barkley. I'm listening to NBC and Amazon. I want to know everything that's on the table for me before I sign it. If we go to ESPN, I got nothing but respect for those guys, but I'm not going to be doing ABC, ESPN, and TNT.
Yeah, Barkley might not be part of the group for the package deal that we think we're going to be getting.
Wow, because they were supposed
big.
to – they license off
Big.
the TNT show for ESPN.
So we may not lose the show, but we may lose the heart and soul of the show. We may lose one of the important
that would
key
suck,
cogs
dude.
of the show.
That's
it's tough.
I don't like it.
You can't have DX98 without X-Pac, right? Like, there's certain things that it's better with the group,
Oh.
And Charles Barkley is one of the funniest guys on TV. So we'll see about that. As for us, I think it's about time to do some on the money picks and close out what has been a very informative deep dive into the Week 16 slate. Levels of the week, because you've got the Thursday game to process, 2 Saturday games to process, and then a full slate on Sunday, and the Monday nighter to close it out. Just a lot happening, man. The benchings of the quarterbacks, and a very murky wild card race in the NFC side, whereas in the AFC side, the picture is a little bit clearer. It's just a matter of which team is going to fall out, and can the Bengals capitalize on a potential downfall of the Los Angeles Chargers, who are holding on to that spot. But, I mean, they're holding on by a thread at this point, going into a division game tomorrow night.
I don't think I made picks last week.
You got to make 10 this week.
Yeah.
To catch up.
So you know what? You want your 10? Special on the money sports TikTok post this weekend.
Look out for it.
And the Christmas sweater.
Ugly Christmas on the money picks?
Yep.
Nice.
I'll do it while you're here.
Nice. We're chilling, man. We're going to be having a good time. I can't wait. So for my on the money picks, I'm actually starting with the Thursday night game. It's a big game for the week. It's a big game for the AFC. And my first pick, I am going to be taking Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos to beat the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday night. My second pick, I'm going into Saturday. It's looking like Pat Mahomes is going to play. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to beat a Houston Texans team that is still playing to get themselves into the 2 seed. That's the highest they can go at this point. There's a small chance that they can get it. So they still have something to play for. I'm still firing up Joe Mixon. That's my boy. He's part of what got me here. So I'm not leaving a guy like that on the bench for a big week like this in the semifinals. I won't be able to live with myself if I do that. However, I do think that the Chiefs still find a way to win. I think it's going to be a boring football game, but the Chiefs have won most of those this year. For my third pick, we discussed it a little bit earlier when we talked about the Jets. I am going to be taking the Los Angeles Rams to beat the New York Football Jets. Stafford owners and Cup owners who, because of their actions, you got eliminated last week. I think it's going to frustrate you even more to see the Rams go out there this week and light up the Jets, which they have the potential to do. My fourth pick, part 2 of this showdown between these two teams, I am going to be taking the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Washington Commanders. I just think they're playing better football, and they're the better football team right now. But the Commanders are playing better than they were when they first met up, so I think this will be a competitive matchup. And if the Commanders lose, they're only 9-6, so they're still in good shape. And it doesn't necessarily it doesn't hurt them as bad as other losses would hurt other teams.
Agreed.
And then with my fifth pick, I'm going into that 4 p.m. slate, and the game that I found the most intriguing out of that slate, where both teams are in the mix, Vikings versus Seahawks. I am taking Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings to get another victory to beat the Seattle Seahawks, to not only put more pressure on the Detroit Lions this week, but also more pressure on a Seattle team that's trying to stay keeping up with the Rams, knowing they have one more game against the Rams to end the season. So once again, my picks are the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Vikings. Went 3-2 last week. My record overall right now is 35-31, more respectable than it was at one point. I think at this point I'm too far behind to catch up, but hoping that I can get at least 1-5-0. Like at least 1-5-0 before the season is over, and I'll be happy. I have yet to have that perfect week. It's been a rough one.
Mikey's had a solid season of picks.
Hey, he's had some great picks.
I wish he would send them to me more often, like the full slate.
He's had some
in like the chat, so I can make my money line bets.
He's had some great picks. I'd like to try it a round robin of just the picks. I haven't done that yet this NFL season. Like go through the entire pool and just round robin that shit. And whatever combinations I get, I make money off of. Whatever I get wrong, it kills whatever that line is. But then whatever I get right, like if I get a combination of 3 or 4 of those wins, it has
anything right this weekend.
I haven't been betting.
No, all I needed was the Dowdle.
I lost whatever bets I made on Sunday.
I should have freaking cashed out the $17.
I've been all fantasy football. So I made some wagers on Sunday, and I've been doing no research whatsoever. Basketball has been weird with the NBA Cup and not having other games scheduled. Tomorrow, we're going to get real NBA slate again. Like it's going to get back into the regular NBA
slate. Those Cup
slate.
games are meaningless. I don't know why we're doing it.
Congrats to the Bucks for winning it, but I'm glad for basketball to get back to its regularly scheduled program so I can get back to looking at props how I normally do. Go back to, some of the research, getting back into doing that. But I've just been really locked in on just getting my fantasy football research done. And, the pressure's on now. So,
yeah.
I got 2 matchups against Mike. Another potential matchup with him looming in True Legends as long as we both do our job in that league. It's all on the line, baby. It is all on the line.
Ugh.
and the first ever Elite Eight
Yo, you're
Super Bowl
6-2.
championship. Yeah, my team's balling. My team's balling in Supreme Ball because I'm not thinking about it. I'm picking my things and I'm not thinking about anything. I drafted better this year, and the guys that I did draft are going off for me, and I have nothing to. And Joker is probably the best first round pick I've ever made in fantasy basketball in the 4 years that we've had it, because I've never drafted high in fantasy basketball. I've always been on the back end. So having a top 3 pick this year and getting one of those top guys is part of why I feel like I've just got another, good start this year. But still a lot of basketball left.
That is true.
We're going to be talking a lot more basketball as the NFL season winds down. There's still a lot of football left, so there's still going to be a lot of football on this podcast. It's still a football-dominated podcast. It's football season. We're going to be talking about the the NBA slate as we move along and wind down the season, though, and talk about, Supreme Baller Society, which is now in its 4th season. It has now officially become a money league. So, the leagues that Mikey has put together have been able to evolve well. Like Sick Picks right now is just like, you've got 2 trophies in Sick Picks. You've got the money for the winner. You've also got the pot for most points and best record. So like a lot of the leagues that we're in, we have the right people in them.
I just thought about that.
What?
Who's getting the drizzling shit trophy?
Matt.
In Sick Picks?
I think Matt has the worst record. So Matt is going to end up potentially getting the shit trophy. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it goes, right?
Yep.
So Matt's getting the trophy. It's at Mikey's house already. You're there all the time, so you may as well just grab it now.
So who didn't take it? Aaron left it behind.
Yeah, he didn't take it that day. Aaron didn't take it. He didn't want the bad juju. It was a great Sick Picks year, man. The two losses definitely hurt because of the seasons I had in those leagues. Starting out 0-2 in Sick Picks and then going on the run that I went on. And then an East Coast champs, scratching and clawing each and every week just to survive and falling short the way I did. It was brutal.
Does Bobby get back to the Sick Picks championship game? Does Bobby become the first ever 2-time champion?
Former champion. Tell me about it. I have him in 2 in my other league, Dynasty. I'm not a huge fan of these Christmas games. I'm not a huge fan of them being on Netflix. Netflix, you better have your shit together. I don't want any buffering. I'm going to be putting the game on the big screen downstairs in the man cave. Just figure it out. Update your servers. Do whatever you got to do, because guess what? I didn't choose you to put football on Christmas. You chose yourselves to show me football on Christmas. So I'm going to have my shit together. You make sure you have your shit together on your end. I don't want to see buffering every 5 or 6 seconds because you can't figure it out in your analytics department. I want football.
Just imagine Monday Night Raw, January 6th.
Oh.
Especially with the slate they got for Monday Night Raw that night.
Chris says he will be back.
Solo.
Chris will be back for Sick Picks. Is going to make that league even better. Need Stafford to go crazy in League of Boom. You might get your wish. I think it's Chris, it's Rick. I don't remember who else is in the Final 4 over there in League of Boom, but that's a league potentially that I'll be looking to make my return to next year, depending on how the landscape is for me. I make those decisions over the summer now. I try not to put too much on myself. I weigh out my decisions and my choices.
Auto pick league. Nick Wallen on that.
I have my conversations with the league commissioners, let them know what my plans are, let them know if I'll be returning or not. I'm either having the conversation with you about it, or I'm most likely sending you the league fee and just getting that shit out the way.
It was fun while it lasted.
Championship week starting on Wednesday.
The last ride has come to a final run.
Oh, brutal.
As Chris,
you, me, and Alex got eliminated in Sick Picks this week.
Has been tagged in.
Chris is back in the league, I guess. Oscar's out. So Chris is back in. He's getting his spot back in Sick Picks.
I am glad to be out next year 4 leagues, and that's it.
Bengals stack is no longer in the playoffs in that league. Ugh.
That is all I'm worried about.
Hurts. Me, okay, so it's you, Rick, RJ, and one of Rob's guys is in the Final 4. All right, well, good luck to you guys.
I won League of Boom the first year it was created.
You beat me in League of Boom. That
I
was
won 2 championships that year.
that was the only championship that we headlined against each other.
I won 2 championships that year. I
Yeah,
won
you won all the money,
Sports,
and
won
you
League of
won.
Boom.
Yeah,
The year before that, I won.
You were on your high horse.
2 years before, the year before I won no title. The year before that, I won the Ace title. The year before that, I won Last year was a bad year. I didn't win shit. I had the Super Bowl hangover and On the Money Sports.
Last year,
only won 2
I
games.
was the last Dynasty champion, the last Champions League Dynasty League champion, I should say. Sorry, couldn't get it out right. Trophy is still sitting on the mantle in the man cave, and it's the time of year where I need to add more hardware to the mantle in my little bar that I have downstairs in the man cave, so that as soon as you walk downstairs, you take that turn, you look to your left, and you just see the hardware shining brightly. That's where it will be all season long. Mikey and I will be fighting for one of the biggest prizes of all in Elite 8, something that nobody has seen and something that you will see once the smoke clears, the dust settles, and the battle is over. It is going to once again revolutionize how people play fantasy football. The same way that our leagues have been revolutionizing the way everybody enjoys fantasy football these last couple of years, just getting you to think a little bit different, getting you to add that another quarterback, getting you to add that second flex, because we do this and we have fun with it. And that's why everybody wants to be a part of our leagues, because you know that what we're doing, we're having fun, bro. You don't have to worry about any bullshit. Well, there's still bullshit, but you don't have to worry about your commissioner not being able to have the payout or any of that weird shit that goes on in a lot of leagues, and the collusion factor, and guys that aren't in the playoffs right now dropping their players so that somebody else can pick them up, or waving the white flag in a playoff matchup with somebody you're playing against. Like, all that doesn't happen. Integrity. We are integrity leagues, and the money pots in these leagues are growing. And you're getting championships and you're getting money. It's a beautiful thing, man. A lot to play for. A lot of incentive to be a part of these leagues. And I'm very grateful after a traumatizing week 15 to be able to, have 5 teams that have survived this far through everything, and to have the opportunity to put those lineups together, and to potentially, for the first time in my history, be able to get to an On the Money Sports Super Bowl. I've never gotten past the Final Four, so it's big for me. This is one of my home leagues. True Legends has become another home league for me, so all about crossing that threshold, baby. I see it. I love it. And I want it around my shoulder here live on the podcast when all is said and done.
We'll look at it, and if we don't like the quality, we got 14 days to turn it back.
Okay.
Because the other dude was like,
gotta see.
Pay it now, and then I'll mail it to you. I'm like, what? I was like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Then he tried to sell the Winged Eagle with Hulk Hogan's red and yellow on it. I was like, yeah, that's not gonna fly either.
It's better to go online and
yep.
The more reputable sources.
That's all the juice you get for now.
Oh, sorry. I got the dogs fired up.
Why are they still out and not in bed yet?
I was touching the original belt for the On the Money Sports League, which was the On Any Given Sunday League, which has the names of some of the past champions. You've got Danny, you've got Nick, you've got
Ike and
Reef, you've got O Money, you've got Nick again on here. I want my name on the belt.
Then it was Jake back-to-back seasons.
Jake won it back-to-back years. One time eliminating me.
Then Danny's got it now.
It's a lot of history. A rich history for On the Money Sports, bro. It's a rich history to that belt. A lot of weight to that belt. It's prestigious. And Danny has to bring it back because I unceremoniously ousted the champ this past week. The championship is up for grabs, bro. Fatal 4-way.
Woo!
Wait. Next week on this podcast, we will have championship matchups in fantasy football. We will have a conversation that I think will be good to expand on next week, the MVP conversation after another week in the books from the MVP candidates. We will have teams that have already clinched, teams that are teetering, and teams that need to win to be able to stay alive. And we will also have, we're not going to have a podcast next week.
Nah.
So maybe what I'll do is maybe
On the Money Sports Minute?
Yeah, maybe I'll put something together on Thursday night. I could even go live tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out. But nonetheless, On the Money Sports will be back. Since we won't be here next week, wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We could do that at the Christmas party too.
Yeah.
Christmas special for 30 minutes while Oscar
kicks everybody out of the Steelers.
The grand scheme of things is that Oscar is going to be watching the Steelers-Ravens game
very intently,
and
win that game, and you're the AFC North champion.
I think it'll be.
However, even if they lose that game and they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bengals, they still won the North. Yeah. It's funky, but if you win it Saturday, guess what? It doesn't matter what you do the rest of the year.
You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just win.
Yep.
And that's all you need to worry about.
And just hold on to the third seed. The Steelers can finish no lower than the 5th seed, even if they don't win the North. But it would suck, too, because I got my damn bet. That I placed in the beginning of the year when people are like, oh, you're stupid.
Well, the one I'm riding on is Rams versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl, baby. Because my division's bet is dead in the water.
Yeah, my playoff ones are done too. I wonder if I got cash outs available for them. Nope.
I'll probably get a nice cash out.
I'm offered $50 right now to cash out for the Steelers Division 1.
I'm going to keep my eye on the cash out for if the Rams and the Chiefs both make it to the conference finals. I'm going to see what the cash out looks like.
Who's been comeback player of the year? No one's standing out, right? So what did I wonder what Justin Herbert's odds are now.
I don't know. But he's not really playing that good, though.
Every team I picked here,
the
Steelers clinched, the Chiefs clinched, the Texans clinched, the Chargers are about to clinch, the Lions clinched. All I needed was the damn Cowboys and the Dolphins to make the playoffs.
Can Saquon Barkley qualify as comeback player of the year?
I don't know. I think it has to be injury related.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. And whoever wins it, we're just going to be like, oh, all right.
I just want
doesn't feel
Herbert to win so that I can get my 60
Sam Darnold?
Joe Burrow is currently listed as the favorite to win comeback player of the year.
Okay. Well, injuries definitely qualifies. Let's say maybe Sam Darnold could be in contention because of the year that he's having.
You know what I want to also check? Freaking phone. Before we go,
so we got
to finish the odds.
Football on Saturday, some wrestling on Saturday, some Christmas party festivities, ugly sweater contests, a few drinks.
Right now, Josh Allen is the favorite to win the MVP. Yeah. Minus 900. Lamar Jackson's a plus 550.
And I think that's one of the keynotes that I'll expand on next week when I go live, breaking down the conversation and both sides of that argument, and seeing what is left behind once the smoke clears after week 16, because we're not going to have a lot of time to process it, because on Wednesday we're going to have more football. Not even 2 weeks after, 2 days after Monday Night Football is Wednesday Night Football. Or Wednesday afternoon Christmas football.
Jaden Daniels is still the favorite for Rookie of the Year, but, dude, I'm inclined to give it to Bo Nix.
Well, lately, Jaden Daniels has been the one playing better than Bo. Bo's been slipping a little bit. But tomorrow night, he has the opportunity to, add to his case for Rookie of the Year in a big divisional matchup against the Chargers team, a playoff Chargers team as of now. And cashing in his ticket for him and the Denver Broncos to get into the playoffs and certainly make things interesting for whoever they play. whoever they get matched up with
Mm.
because of their style of play and what their defense is able to bring to the table. Like, they travel well, they play well coached. And they're gonna go out there, and I think that they're gonna make a statement tomorrow night against a beat up Chargers team that has no run game, and you don't really trust anybody on that team at this point in time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting tomorrow.
I
will agree.
Massive AFC implications in the next 3 games, Thursday and Saturday, as far as seeding goes, as far as the playoffs go. So, Sunday it all comes to a head.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the holiday weekend coming up. Next Wednesday's Christmas. We won't be live Christmas. We'll try to do some videos on the side.
So we gave you a little extra tonight.
I hope everybody has a safe and sound holiday. Enjoy yourselves. And remember just to be nice, man. It's the time of the year to be nice. It's the time of giving, not receiving. Just enjoy yourselves. Spend time with your family. And enjoy this crazy slate of football we got with NFL and college playoffs. Until then, I am O Money. That is Irrational. We'll see you in 2 weeks.